There are 4 months left to what could well turn out to be the most historic election in our lifetimes. It could unleash an already unleashed Donald Trump, or it could close it down. How much wind is against Donald Trump at this point? And if the wind is against Donald Trump, as it seems now that it is, then it's over. Donald Trump's capacity to shoot himself in the foot should never be underestimated. It would seem now that he has gone down the path to do almost everything to undermine the Republicans.
Michael.
Joanna.
Happy 4th. What are you doing for July the 4th?
I live in the Hamptons, so virtually every day is July 4th.
Oh, please. It's not every day is 250 years of American independence. As you know, I think nothing of import happened that day.
It's getting my head around too. Frankly, I'm still in 200 because I remember that well, 1976.
You
the tall
do?
ships. Yes, guess where I saw that from?
Where?
The World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center. Oh, the whole
Yes.
landscape of New York was different.
Yes. So anyway, I haven't caught up to 250 yet, which seems an arbitrary number.
Well, and who would have known 50 years ago, because Donald Trump was on the scene then in New York, right, that he would be president for a second time running?
Just coming on the scene, actually.
Okay.
That was...
You both were just coming on the scene.
We both, and I saw him on the scene after that quite often.
Right.
I mean, in fact, you could not, for quite a long period, go out in New York at night without seeing Donald Trump.
And he saw you with your beautiful hair that we have had so many comments on since we shared the photo of your magnificent hair when you were student body president. All right, so we've got the midterms coming up. It looks like the wind is against Trump. Of course, you can never count him out.
Let's frame this, with more gravitas.
Okay.
I mean, there are 4 months left to what could well turn out to be the most historic election in our lifetimes. And it could go either way. It really unleashes Donald Trump, it could unleash an already unleashed Donald Trump. Or it could close it down. Forget it. Donald Trump over, done with, just cleaning up the mess.
He's over. It's full lame duck. Donald Trump goes full lame duck. All right, where do we begin? Do we want to think about the races that really are tight?
No, I think
do we want to take a bigger picture?
Yeah, I think the bigger picture, because I think that there is really only, there's a central thing that matters here, and it's that kind of psychological factor, how much wind is against Donald Trump at this point. And if the wind is against Donald Trump, as it seems now that it is, then it's over. Then it doesn't matter. Then actually every individual race matters significantly less, and it just means that the wave,
the blue tsunami
is going to carry everybody, carry all of the Democrats into Congress, and effectively Donald Trump out of
washes Donald Trump's candidates away.
And that could very well happen. I think it's absolutely poised. I think he has, after this what will then be almost 2 years of Donald Trump, he has run from any political in any political context a completely irresponsible. Let's not forget policy, forget democracy. Just from a political point of view, it has been completely irresponsible. It has, as though, been designed to alienate people. So
he's made it all about himself, which is actually one of the criticisms that Obama got when he was in office that he didn't do enough to support the party, that he was very much a lone wolf candidate. Of course, different kind of lone wolf, but I can't imagine anything worse right now than being a Republican congressperson hoping to get back into office with this man as the head of the party and as president. He's done nothing to help anybody get back into office. He's only served to undermine them.
Yeah, and to serve up candidates who have a significantly diminished chance of winning and therefore supporting the party's majorities, which it would seem by every indication that they will lose their majority in Congress, and every day they seem to have a better chance of losing their majority
except
in the Senate.
for, and I'm going to antagonize everybody watching and everybody listening by saying this, except that the opposition is, Michael, the Democrats. The Democrats, who often cannot get out of their way.
No, absolutely. But before even going that, I just want to get the fundamentals here. And the first fundamental is the wave. It just is whatever is everybody. If the thing in everybody's head is that we are tired of Donald Trump.
Right, we're tired of the drama. We're tired of the rudeness, the kind of chaos of it all, the unpleasantness of it all.
But then the next, so that's one fundamental. The next fundamental is turnout.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all elections, that's it. I mean, if you don't turn out your people, or if your people don't turn themselves out because they're not motivated, you're screwed. Now, right now, it would seem, and all of the races that we've seen, the primary races or the races to fill empty seats, have shown enormous turnout for the Democrats. The Democrats appear to be uniquely motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republicans, frankly, they appear to be depressed.
Embarrassed.
I think all of those things.
And they're feeling it in their pocketbooks. They're feeling it at their checkout.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we should just run down the issues that are going to be top of mind. So it is a top of mind issue. Is there the wave? The wave is dictated by what is top of mind.
Okay, so top of mind, it's the economy, stupid, inflation, which Donald Trump has said he doesn't care about, but everything feels more expensive.
There are two. So it's the economy and it's Donald Trump.
Okay.
Those are the two.
Which do you think is most important at this point?
Probably Donald Trump.
Okay.
That's the motivator, and if he is blamed, you can get a double whack out of this. If he is blamed not only for being Donald Trump, but blamed for the economy, and I think that's what we're looking at. But as you say, and this is truly one of the interesting things to me, almost more interesting than Donald Trump, because we know where that is the Democrats, their incredible ability to fuck this up. So, and, the Democrats, basically, they only have those things
to run on too, right?
They're running on Donald Trump,
yep.
And they're running on the economy. Not that they have any idea how to fix the economy.
Well, they're running on affordability, right? So the kind of amorphous sense that everything's too expensive. So they're running on not the Donald Trump party.
Yes, and they can, they are the party out of office.
Mm-hmm.
So they go into a midterm election with the expectation that they will do considerably better than the Republicans. That's historically true. That's almost there's little way around that.
Except for Joe Biden, interestingly. Joe Biden did so well at the midterms in his last president we had, which unfortunately set him up to think that he would then win in the general election. Should have been the moment when he stepped aside and said, on to the next.
Yes, but he did less poorly than it was expected.
Okay, but he still did fine.
But there's also another point here, which is important, is that the Republicans do appreciably poorer when Donald Trump is not a candidate. So it's a kind of a mixed thing. We're running against Donald Trump, and that's a major issue. But in fact, the Republicans would be helped, or have historically over the last 10 years been helped, when Donald Trump is a candidate.
So what would be inside his head if he loses bigly in the midterms? Does he take this personally, or does he just deny it and say, "Oh, it's rigged,
he just denies it and blames it on somebody else"?
Okay,
makes it his issue.
Okay,
and you can actually kind of get inside his head and think that's what he's doing, that he is now undermining the Republicans in order to perhaps blame it on them, to reinforce the fact that they can't do anything if he's not running.
Interesting. So he's in a bit of a double bind.
But get back to the Democrats just a second, because I am just amazed, frustrated, furious, as so many Democrats are, that they screw it up constantly. Why is that? There is just something so relentlessly, let me answer my own question.
I thought you might go on.
Relentlessly phony seeming about them. It's as though no word out of their mouth is a genuine word. It's as though it's all by focus group in the head. It's all, somebody like this woman Molly Jong Fast, who the Democrats for some reason have pushed out in the media, never had one original thought ever. Just a kind of cottonmouth, constantly echoing what you're supposed to say, trying to anticipate nervously what you're supposed to say.
Okay, well, what are her talking points? What are the Democratic... Because I don't feel like this. I have spent quite a lot of time over the last few months interviewing lots of Democratic candidates and congressmen and women, and I'm increasingly impressed by how serious they are, how disciplined they are. Many of them come out of the military, and they seem mission-oriented to win.
Tell me what the mission is.
The mission is to win.
What
the mission is to win the constituency.
Tell me an original idea.
Well,
Republicans are full of cockamamie original ideas.
Well, I think the original idea is, and it's not an original idea, it's James Carville and the Clinton thing, it's the economy, stupid. It's just now called affordability, and it's about making...
So they just changed the name of an old idea.
Yeah, but at least it appears to be working.
And no demonstrable abilities to actually fix the economy. I mean, Joe Biden became...
Oh, they do have a plan to fix the economy.
And it
it's
would be...
largely to tax the rich, of which you would be one. I think it's... I'm being slightly facetious, but I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you, actually, about the Democrats.
And also, the Democrats that you have been talking to, by the way, are the Democrats who do not seem to be ascendant at this point.
No, that's not true. James Tallarico, he's totally in the ascendant.
I don't have the
Graham Plattner.
Democratic socialists. I don't see them coming on this table. I don't see you talking to, what's the name of that woman who has just who's going to defeat the entire Republican Party? Chevalier. You haven't interviewed any of the Democratic socialists or whatever they're called.
Graham Plattner is running on a progressive platform. I've interviewed Graham Plattner.
Yes, progressive. You like Graham Plattner.
I do like Graham Plattner. I think he's a sort of versus Susan Collins. Susan Collins, we've said this before. Susan Collins is the enemy.
I see.
Collins voted against the Hyde Amendment. You don't want to know the enemy of women. Susan Collins.
You're a Democrat. You're Molly
No,
John
I'm
facts.
I'm pro women having choice over their own bodies. I'm pro women having options if they get pregnant. If that's a Democrat position, then I'm a Democrat. It's a lot of Republican women's positions too. And Susan Collins made that less possible. Would I rather have Graham Plattner in Maine? Yes, I would.
I would be, sure. But in
But
the
she's
end,
been there enough time, enough now. These jobs should have, I think there should be term limits. The president is term limited.
It's yes. Nevertheless, the contrast here, and I don't know who people in Maine should vote for, and I hope it's a Republican. It turns into a Democratic Senate. But nevertheless, you have Susan Collins, who is a professional, who has done this job, who knows how to do this job, who has been elected, who is viewed enormously favorable by her constituency. And then you have someone who's just a wild card. This is what we know about Graham Plattner. Nothing. He is a wild card. He has, and there's all kinds of indications that he is a serious wild card. So if you want to vote for that, this is what you know. And it is someone who has certainly demonstrated their professionalism. And this is someone
But this is exactly what got Donald Trump elected. People don't want professional politicians anymore. They see them feathering their nest. They see them looking out for themselves.
Yeah, do you hear what you're saying? That's what got us Donald Trump. So we're going to apply that same logic to Graham Plattner.
Okay, well, that's a good argument. Okay, well argued. I argued myself into a corner there. Okay, I can see that. Nevertheless, I think it's time for fresh blood. Ed Markey,
I don't even know what that means, fresh blood.
I think it means people who haven't been in Congress or Senate for 50 years.
Well, that's most of the people in the country. That means anybody off the street qualifies for fresh blood. And a lot of these people seem
most
off
people
the
wouldn't
street.
bother to run.
We have, Chevalier,
the grad student
Chevalier going to Washington.
Well, that's because she got the endorsement of Mamdani, right?
Mamdani himself.
What does mean?
Well, I'm just...
They always do that. People are constantly pointing it out. They're like, Michael says yes, then he says no, then he says yes ago.
It's a clearing of the
It's a palate cleanser of the brain.
And trying to acknowledge that these things are
nuanced,
are complicated. But nevertheless, at the same time, Mamdani, who is also a person without a job, without experience, there is no logic that would have made him the mayor. And I'm not saying he's not going to be a good mayor, and he hasn't had a really good run since his election. But come on.
Well, part of this is who you're running against, right? Mamdani was running against Curtis Sliwa, who's an eccentric on the New York scene and nobody thinks could do anything, and Andrew Cuomo, who'd resigned from being governor after being accused by multiple women of sexual harassment and had been seen as an incredible opportunist over COVID when he accepted $5 million to write a book on American leadership. Which he made his staff do, apparently.
Totally. Nobody likes Andrew Cuomo.
Of the three of them,
except me, I always liked him.
His time had been and gone.
Yeah, I get it. Anyway, let's go on. Midterms. Who wins? Who loses?
I think it's too early to know whether or not Trump is going to pull something out of the hat, or whether or not people are so over Donald Trump that whatever he pulls out of the hat.
Well, we have a couple of things.
He could get shot at again. Remember how helpful that was to him, the Butler, Pennsylvania moment?
Totally. And there is the thing about, what everyone who works for Donald Trump will almost immediately caution you and say, remember, it's Donald Trump.
Right.
And somehow, we're here 10 years later. How did this happen? And he has this remarkable, first thing, he has remarkable luck. And then he has that one gift that no other, he has a gift greater than any other politician, which is the gift to be able to command attention.
Right.
So what that becomes,
economy.
and there are 4 months, and 4 months is both a very short period of time. It's a very short period of time to pull prices down. It's a very short period of time to fix the economy. It's a very short period of time in which you're trusting that people are not going to remember this catastrophic and ludicrous war in Iran. But on the other hand, it's 4 months in which anything can happen.
Well, and he may also, now he's reduced his messaging. It's as if he started the war and he didn't quite know what he was doing. He's now got the message for the war, 4 months in, which is Iran must not have a nuclear weapon. And now you hear people out in focus groups on Vox Pops and things saying, well, I know the price of gas is up, but Iran must not be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. And you're like, the messaging might be getting through.
No, again, on that other thing that Trump gift, simplify and repeat.
Simplify and repeat, even if it's completely untrue.
Democrats complicate and digress.
Well, do we want to look at specific races? We've talked about Maine. We've got Maine and Texas in the Senate are the two really interesting races, right?
Maine, Maine is now incredibly close.
Right.
Plattner would seem to have a slight advantage at this point over Collins.
Well, and I do think there's a favorability to new candidates versus old. I really do. And I think there'll be, clearly a ton of money flooding into Maine. I think his was the most expensive primary.
Yeah, no, I think it is. And I think, he certainly could win. I think we have a bet on this. I tend to think that he will, screw it up. But, and I tend to think also, there's a reason these people, like Susan Collins, win again and again and again, because they know something. They understand something about their constituency. So
I'm not saying she's not a formidable opponent. Clearly she is, but I just think he'll win.
Well, we'll see.
We've got money on it. What have we got on it?
Whatever.
An inside Trump's head mug. Invaluable.
But then perhaps the more interesting race, because they're neither of them are incumbents.
Yep.
So
Texas.
is Texas.
Yeah.
And it's Texas.
Well, it's Texas, so it's eccentric, and Donald Trump has.
Well, Texas is not that eccentric. It is actually reliably Republican and has been for, what are we talking, the better part of 20 years now. So Tallarico it would be extraordinary if he wins. And he may win, so it may be extraordinary.
Well, and extraordinary because Donald Trump has really put his thumb, or tried to put his thumb on the scale by supporting Ken Paxton over the incumbent John Cornyn, who actually there was an incumbent who was scooped out of the way by Donald Trump, who has found a character very much like himself, who's been impeached. He was the former AG, biblical scale divorce, and a brilliance also like Trump of commanding attention. So, and being shameless, utterly shameless, which is the other qualification.
Which is why Tallarico has a chance here, because he's running against Ken Paxton.
And he's popular in the state. He's been a state senator for some time. He's a former teacher. He's training to be a minister. And he has a very mild manner. And he talks about wanting to repair the culture that he says has,
I wonder if that's his strong card. I think the strong card is Ken Paxton, but maybe I'm right.
Clearly his card is Ken Paxton. Do you actually want this guy representing you? He seems to be an alleged crook. He's also very mild-mannered, and whether or not he can suggest to people that he knows what to do for the economy, I don't know.
Mild-mannered in politics in 2026 is not necessarily a calling card.
Well, unless it's the big switcheroo and the pendulum has moved and,
Unless,
like
yes.
wide-legged pants, mild is back, in which case your friend Andy Bashir might stand a chance in 2028 because he's super mild. He's like Kraft cheese slice.
No, if you think, that would be great news if this all went back to boring. And then Andy Bashir is really the poster child.
Poor Andy
for
Bashir,
that.
again, taking a stray in our conversation. I think he took a stray last time, and he's getting another one this time. So the other, so those are the Senate races.
But let's talk about inside Trump's head. If Ken Paxton loses, what does he? And I can't really figure this out. How does clearly?
Well, he will blame John Cornyn. Somehow
clearly Trump is responsible for this. Ken Paxton does not exist without Donald Trump. And if they lose Texas, which then may mean they lose the Senate. How does he come back from that? How does he create a justification? Who does he blame for that?
Well, don't you think he'll blame the Republican senators? He's going to blame John Thune. He's going to blame John Cornyn, the outgoing senator that he primaried.
Yeah, but that doesn't. There's got to be. He's good at blaming, but this doesn't seem even for Donald Trump. This seems like a bridge too far.
No. There is no such phrase, yes. Even for Donald Trump. How can you even say that out loud? You know there is a bridge further. Yes. You know there is a bridge further. All right, so that's the Senate race. So Maine and Texas very much in play, incredibly tight, very exciting races. This is like the playoffs at this point. It's so exciting. It's like penalty kicks with Germany.
The Democrats need to win 4 seats.
In the Senate.
They need to not lose any seats and win 4 seats. That's what's going to need.
Tall order.
That needs the wind, the hurricane against Trump.
Right. So they need to win 4 seats out of 100, right? The House is much more interesting because there's probably 30 to 40 seats in play, and 2 of them are local, which are quite interesting.
Local for us.
Local
not
for us.
Our audience.
Yes, not for our audience. Sorry about that. That's very self-absorbed.
Well, let's do the one that's so eccentric that I think it would appeal to anyone anywhere.
No, it's a fascinating story. Tom Keene in
New Jersey,
right? Who has missed 100. I'm going to say that one more time. 100 votes. Because he just disappeared.
Well, he's disappeared. It's not even that. There are occasions when a member of Congress gets sick and there's a much discussion about that person's health and what's going on, and a certain sympathy is engendered on that basis.
Right, because everybody wants to be empathetic to someone who's got
Tom
cancer.
Keene Jr., who is the son of a former governor of New Jersey, has just disappeared. Literally, no one has known where he is, what he's what is going on, what his health issue. He said there's a health issue. No one knows what that is. Is he dying? Is he something else? This has been absolutely opaque, a mystery, almost as though it was set up to be a mystery, and then there would be a reveal.
The mystery of the missing congressman.
Last Tuesday, he returned to Congress, and then that was his reveal. What was up? He was suffering from depression.
I would be depressed too if I were a Republican congressperson dealing with Donald Trump.
In other words, that he was.
He had mental health issues.
Well, I was going to say that where was Tom Keene? He was in the loony bin.
I don't think you call it that anymore.
No, I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you're going to take this out.
No, I'm not going to take it out.
Okay. But that is, that also prompts the question, okay, so You couldn't have told people this.
Right. I don't understand why they didn't tell people, because first of all,
Well,
as we know,
it is. I mean, one of the reasons you don't tell people is that you do consider it still the loony bin, which we don't consider that anymore, and it's just a health issue that you're addressing.
right. I mean,
But obviously, they've turned this into some.
well, they've now turned it into something, because the minute you don't tell anybody something, nature abhors a vacuum. It's filled with all sorts of conspiracy theories, especially online. So he was depressed. He went into an institution to have some help. There's no shame in that. People do it all the time. Actually, it's one of the good things that Senator Fetterman has talked about, this thing of feeling depressed, though he was depressed post-stroke and he has other issues in office. But it shouldn't be an issue of shame by not admitting to it in that kind of a role. Alas, you draw attention to it. And also, he missed 100 votes and nobody understood why.
At any rate, he is being a seemingly very eligible Democrat is running against him.
Yes, who is that? It's Rebecca Bennett, isn't it?
Right, and she's
she's phenomenal. She's a helicopter pilot. I mean, these young military candidates, or they.
Let me just stop you there to
She's
say,
a helicopter pilot.
I know. Let's.
Does this mean Lauren Sanchez is going to run for office?
Repeat that. She's a helicopter pilot who wants to go to Congress. Being a helicopter pilot and being in Congress, there is no crossover in experience, skill sets, temperament, and anything else. These are two.
I think you have to be quite calm to be a helicopter pilot, don't you? Because what if you hit turbulence?
I don't know. I'm sure you've never met a helicopter pilot. You have no idea.
I think there's this very interesting generation of military people. Mikey Sherrill is another one, helicopter pilot, stormed into the governorship.
Okay, you're talking, and I don't disagree. But when you talk about this new generation, you also have to talk about this other part of the new generation of Democrats who will probably complicate things for the Democrats, which is these Mamdani group of Democratic socialists who are first thing far left and against Israel. So that really, I mean, the helicopter pilots and the military people, that's from one piece of the Democratic game book, playbook.
And they're largely moderates.
And they're all moderates. They're
right, Alyssa Slotkin, a good example.
Even
Jason
veering
Crow.
toward the conservative side of the liberal agenda. And then you have the exact opposite: people who are not moderates, people who are who represent an altogether new direction for the Democratic Party.
Well, and they've inherited the mantle from Mitten's Bernie Sanders.
Very much so. And I mean, he is. So it's the combination of Mamdani and Bernie Sanders and AOC. So, this is this may be, or this is a question that we will see if this is which way this is going, that this is the ascendant group of the Democratic Party. I mean, that's the fear of a lot of people, and it's the hope of the Republicans.
But I think locally, it's not, I mean, the primaries are over now, right? So that sort of civil war going on in the Democratic Party has sorted itself out for the midterms.
I don't think so. I don't think that that's true at all. I think this will become the issue against Democrats, one of the issues that the Republicans will pursue. Chevalier. We're going to come to know, we barely know this name now. This is going to be the best known name in America. The grad student Chevalier.
Because her platform is essentially Gaza.
And she said all kinds of, I mean, there's a whole litany of social media, a social media trail of things that many people in the country might consider reprehensible.
So do you think that she will lose the seat for the Democrats? I mean, it's a pretty safe Democratic seat.
No, she will probably win that seat, but she or her presence and the other people who she will come to symbolize might well damage prospects for other Democrats, especially swing situations.
I wonder if people will just vote locally this time round, though.
Well, I mean that's a hard thing to say because in effect the Democrats are asking people to vote nationally. This is against Trump. We are against Trump. So the Democrats are trying to nationalize this election. That's where a wave, a blue wave, comes from. A blue tsunami comes from. But then also asking them to forget about Chevalier. It's not really, and right. I think the Republicans are going to come storming back. Chevalier.
Right.
But it's. I mean, you're going to come back to this, which has always. I mean, this has been now played out over 10 years. The Republicans trying to pin this left-wing communist whatever kind of thing on a set of on the Democrats, which have shown no inclination. Even AOC seems like it just seems like a regular old political career.
Well, and the squad, which once seemed so out there, has had the corners rubbed off it, right?
Yeah, it's not as though the Republicans don't have an issue here. So that should, I mean, it seems overwhelmingly the Democrats have an issue because what issue is bigger than Donald Trump?
Right.
But Donald Trump exists in part because a not insignificant part of the country found the Democrats, a hard pill to swallow.
Well, and you remember how effective the trans ad against boys and girls sports was at the general election. It's highly possible they could do that with Chevalier and turn some of the things she said into one of those ads.
Completely.
To what extent do you think the problem here is also that there seems to be that there's no overall leader yet, national leader for the Democrats? There's no singular voice. And of course they say, well, we're a big tent party. We don't need a singular voice. You've got to vote local. But the Republicans
there usually
managed
is
effectively with one voice.
But there is usually not a singular voice in the midterms. And that's usually, that may be an advantage because the focus then becomes the person who is the singular voice, who is the incumbent, who is Donald Trump. So the Republicans can't go after that singular representative of what they're asking people to vote against. So it's not like a general election where it's a binary, essentially.
Right. No, it's more like
choice.
Gulliver, which is Donald Trump, and then the Lilliputians, which is the Democrats.
Okay.
I think that's a suitable analogy. So, of course, as you're saying, people, when you're talking to them in the White House, say, well, you can't rule anything out. It's Donald Trump. He could pull something out of the bag. No one would have anticipated Butler, Pennsylvania, and the incredible lift that gave him. Remember when Elon Musk came out and said, oh, my goodness, he's my candidate.
On the other hand,
right,
it's very possible that he will do things that are detrimental, deeply detrimental to the Republicans. Donald Trump's capacity to shoot himself in the foot should never be underestimated. So, and it would seem now that he has gone down the path to do almost everything to undermine the Republicans. I mean, he's now literally he's literally so far refusing to sign this bipartisan Housing Act.
Yeah. Which will get made law anyway, but what he's stolen from the Republicans is the ability to show that they care and that this would have been very helpful. This was actually a bipartisan win that might have helped them during the midterms.
Right. And he's calling this marginal or he's literally dismissing this. One of the, if not the pivotal issue in this campaign. No, pay no attention to that. That's what I want is this voting bill that is never going to pass.
And which people don't care about because
people don't care about. And also I suspect that people think, no, he's screwing around with the election.
Right. Do you think they are thinking that?
Yeah.
I think Democrats might be thinking that. I don't know if Republicans are thinking that.
Well, there's Democrats and there's Republicans, and then there's the people in between who are at issue here.
Right. Okay, fair. All right, so should we take a bet on it? We're 4 months out. How many seats do you think the Democrats are going to win? Oh, I should first just say, what about the gerrymandering? To what extent do we think that's going to impact
I think obviously that will play somewhat, appears like it will play somewhat to his benefit. But of course, if the blue wave is the hurricane is big enough, it's not going to make any difference.
Right. Well, it might give him a few seats here or there. I mean, we're in Mississippi,
but not necessarily. I mean, it actually could have the opposite effect, that this could be a significant backfire. Remember, because when you move Republicans into another district, you move them out of the district that they were in. This is at some level, this is a zero-sum game.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand that.
Well, just think, if you have to move the Republicans, you have a Democratic district over here, or a district that was formerly weighted to the Democrat side, or was a swing side. So in order to make that more Republican, you have to take Republicans from somewhere else and put them there. Therefore, if you take Republicans from somewhere else, then they're not going to be where they once were. So you're going to reduce, one becomes less swing, but the one becomes more swing. So, and if you have a wave, then that means that you're going to potentially, your design for gerrymandering may go in a counter-indicated fashion.
There really should be fantasy political leagues at this point, shouldn't there?
Well,
why is nobody doing that, or are they doing it?
There may be.
Right.
Would we know?
But this is we're such nerds, this is our sport. Why are you looking like that? You're a nerd.
Well, no. First thing, I don't think that's true. Matter of fact, you
don't think you're a nerd?
I once in my no, I am. I don't think I'm a nerd, and I don't think you're. I've known you for years and years. We have never had a political discussion, so I don't think you're interested in. I don't think you're a political nerd. I don't even think you're interested in politics. We're just pretend here. But
what are you talking about? I'm riveted by this stuff. I'm interested in the people. I'm interested in the characters, and that's the change of that has been Donald Trump.
I once ran a political magazine.
What was that called then?
It was actually a trade magazine for politicians, and it was called Campaigns and Elections.
I can't imagine you doing that.
Yes, and
this is a whole side of your life I didn't know about.
There's all my checkered career. But when I came into this Washington-based magazine, I came into this magazine, and they kept saying, "Well, who's your audience?" And they would say political junkies. I said, don't say that anymore. Don't call your audience junkies. So anyway, that's
Aren't they self-appointed junkies, though? They want to be called junkies because it suggests that this is an addiction. But I am interested in the people and the characters in this. I do think that's interesting. And I think the change of the world we're living in is incredibly interesting. And how Donald Trump has changed it is interesting. And having grown up in Europe, I'm interested in the future of NATO.
So, in other words, you got interested in politics
Because of Donald Trump. Totally, as did a lot of other people.
Well, actually,
I mean, to be fair, I've always been quite interested
I
in
was
it.
never interested in politics. I'm still not interested in politics.
I was interested in British politics, especially when Tony Blair came to pass.
But I feel stuck with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, my character. Oy.
Yeah, your character. All right. Well, I think it's time that we go and enjoy July the 4th. I think there's hot dogs to be had and burgers and flags to wave.
Are you coming to my neighborhood?
I might be coming to your neighbourhood. Yes, indeed I am. Amagansett. I'm going to be out in Sag Harbor, actually. Very much looking forward to it. And, fireworks, enormous fireworks. I'm just sorry we didn't go to the state fire.
Hate fireworks.
State fire. You hate fireworks?
Hate them.
Who hates fireworks?
It's so boring. The same
They are a bit boring.
all the time. Jeez.
Well, this year at the state fair...
Everybody waiting for them to be over. When's the finale? Is that the finale?
I know. That is true. But the good news is that the fireworks on the Mall are going to be the best ever. It's going to be the biggest firework display that's ever happened in the history of the firework world. The firework community are going to be thrilled by this.
Where is he going to be? He himself?
I guess I'm assuming he'll be at the White House, won't he?
I don't know. Does he come out?
Did you see the AI golden eagle that he wants to put? I'm sure he's going to come out on the balcony and look at the fireworks. And probably
I did see something about this golden eagle.
Yeah, he's planning to put an eagle on the Truman balcony.
Oh, great.
We could get you one for your Amagansett house if you like. I know you're going to have your flag there. I told you I've got a flag which I'm going to put out. It's time for hot dogs. It's time for corn dogs. And we'll go to the next state fair. Michael, happy 4th. Happy Independence Day. Not independent from Donald Trump, though. We're symbiotic at this point.
Independent from you.
If you have been, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to The Daily Beast. And happy July the 4th.
Ryan, John, Heather, Rachel, Neil, as always.
And we have an intern, Max.
Max
the intern.
Max the intern.
Happy 4th, everybody, and we'll be back on Tuesday. So the good news is we have so many B-Beast tier members now. There are too many names to read out, and we really appreciate your support.